Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. I am on the test server. I am going to show you the build that I did for my Clan Boss Draft submission run with my crazy team here. Arbiter, Mashal, Turvold, Fushan, Demitha. It was an awesome team. I'm actually really tempted to build the Runekeeper version for my main account because it was such an awesome and fun run to do. But this one was very cool, and I was super happy to have everybody involved, everybody that came out, being able to give away those gems to everybody was really awesome too, and I'm really excited to do more of these types of things in the future. Well, I'm going to be showing you guys the champions and how I built them for that run, with the one exception of Mashal. I did have to tweak a little bit of his gear because I was hoping to get another force run in, and it just never came up, so I wasn't able to tweak his gear back in time to show you guys exactly what I had, but I think you're going to be able to extrapolate the numbers that I was putting on these champions and the style of gear. All that doesn't change from run to run, so I think you're going to enjoy that here. Yeah, let's look at the champions. And guys, if you enjoyed this whole Clan Boss draft experience, if you enjoyed the stuff that we were able to put together, please hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Honestly, this takes a ton of work and effort, and it's hard to wrangle everybody together and make this type of thing happen. And your guys supporting me in that process really does make it worth it. So if you can hit that subscribe button, I really do appreciate it. Also, if you enjoyed today's music, we do have that Soundstripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, like all my videos. As far as the setup goes, we got Fushan here. We're just eliminating his A2 using Giant Slayer. It's a good way to go with him. With Turvold, we're going to start with his A2 to give him that Terminator boost, and then we're actually going to do the A1. We're going to manual that first part because I want him to use his A3 with the most buffs possible. And in order to do that, I need to wait one turn. So that's kind of what we're doing there. Mashal here, we're going to start with his... We're actually going to start with his A3 ability and then go in his A2 and his A1 after that. And then Arbiter, we're going to start with we're basically just going to use the turn meter boost, A3 skill, and the A1. So we're trying to get that weaken debuff from Arbiter's A1 so it's consistently up. And then we're getting that turn meter boost from the A3. And then very last, we have Demitha here with the buff extension, the unkillable. It's a pretty auto setup for her too. Although we do need to use the A1 on her second attack. So basically, you're going to manual the very first turn, and after that, we can fully click auto, and it's going to work. Now, as far as how I built all these champions, you can see I have Arbiter here in a toxic set. This is definitely big. Getting a full debuff bar helps a lot with the damage. One of the more important things, and reason why I brought Arbiter in for Dazdurk, not only does Arbiter get more attacks because she doesn't actually bring a cleanse, which, you know, you can say that's better or worse, however you want, but it is going to up our damage. But more importantly than that, it's the fact that she has a weaken on her A1 skill here, and it's a more consistent debuff to keep up. 50% chance on a 2-hit attack, so that's going to stay up pretty consistently with her. We were running it with Turvold, and we weren't getting that kind of consistency. Now, I still have accuracy on my Turvold. Just fit the way I built him, that he had enough accuracy to hit the clan boss. We didn't need it, but it worked for it. The interesting thing, I think, with Arbiter is that, you know, she's going to help make that consistent. That's going to actually give us a major damage boost to our team here. Now, as far as the stats that we have on her, we got 258 speed, 223 crit damage, 100% crit rate, and that 264 accuracy, 3600 attack. So pretty decent build, not spectacular, but at 258 speed, I'm not unhappy with that. With her masteries, we also try to optimize things as much as possible. We went down to lasting gifts so that her increased attack buff would stay on our champions just a little bit longer, because Mashal will lose it for one attack. And if we can get that extension, then he'll keep it up, and that'll be helpful for damage there. Then we also have Master Hexer, obviously to help when those weekends do land, to help extend them so that we guarantee they stay up even longer. Also, one other little thing you might note, we do have Blade Disciple instead of the crit rate bonus. It's just how I built her. She had a little bit more crit rate than needed, so we were able to take that instead. Now, Turvold here is a beast, and I built him like a beast, and I'm very happy with this build. You can see right here, he's got 149 speed, 292 crit damage and 71% crit rate with 263 accuracy. Now, I actually can run this a little bit slower, but because of the gear that I have, I had to run Mashal a little bit faster, which meant I had to run Turvold just a little bit faster as well. But 7,400 attack is pretty nasty with almost 300% crit rate, or crit damage. I'm pretty happy with that. As far as his masteries go, we've got him going down the offensive tree and the defensive tree. Now, the defensive tree is important to take deterrence. We do get stunned here. Fushan takes a stun, so this is going to give us some free opportunities for attacks. Also on the offensive tree, we did come down to Stoke to Fury, and because we are not blocking the debuffs, we're going to have some on us, so this might add just a little bit of damage to us until Demitha can reduce the cooldowns of our the duration of the debuffs that land on us. So we're going to add just a little bit of damage with that, an extra 4%, not too shabby. And then we have Fushan here. Now Fushan I tried to build as beefy as I could. With 239 accuracy, I think it's pretty darn good. We really do want to keep that decreased defense up the whole fight. That's going to make a major difference to our damage. So making sure that he has enough accuracy to land that is going to be pretty vital. As far as his stats go, we got him up to 6,700 attack, which I'm pretty happy with, 188 speed, 105 crit rate, and 275 crit damage. Now, as far as his masteries go, we went down the support tree to come all the way down to Master Hexer. This is just going to help with the decreased defense, ensuring that it stays up. And because he's taking the stun, the defensive tree actually doesn't help us at all here. The extra accuracy in the support tree is pretty helpful as well. Then on the offensive tree, again, we ended up taking Blade Disciple. We just had a little bit extra crit rate in the build, so nothing wrong with getting a little extra attack. And then we're coming all the way down to Giant Slayer because he has so many multi-attacks. He can get a multi-attack on the A1, and his A3 is a 4-hitter, so definitely that's going to be the better choice there. Another interesting thing I will point out here is that there is Singled Out, which is going to give us a fair amount more damage. This is why we're going against Red Affinity, is because nobody's weak, but on top of that, we get extra damage because we are below 40% HP, so that's really great. And then we get to Mashald. Now, Mashald, I have in a full Toxic set here, which is just fantastic. Got the counterattack masteries, which is great, and I think he's built pretty well. Now, on this one, I did lower the crit rate. When I went against Void, I had 100% crit rate, a little bit lower crit damage, but basically the build is the same. 6,100 attack, 146 speed. Now I can run this all the way down to 140 speed, but the numbers with him are pretty specific, so you just got to be careful with that. And like I said, 85% crit rate and 304% crit damage, which is nice. As far as masteries go, we got offensive tree here and defensive tree. And then very last was Demitha, and just to stay under the player power, no ring, no amulet, which is fine. She only gets one attack. It's not really what we're banking on, but we did get our 100% crit rate, which helps. 328 speed. That was the goal here, and that's what we achieved. As far as our masteries go, we did go down the support tree to lasting gifts. It's not really helpful for us, but I just ended up taking it, seeing if we could get some extra buffs up. I don't think that's actually making an impact. And then we went down the offensive tree as well. So the start of this fight is actually pretty simple. We only have to manual the very first turn. We begin with Demitha's A2 to extend the duration of debuffs, even though there's none on. We just need to use that skill. She'll use her A1 skill after that at the very end of this turn. Arbiter is going to give us a turn meter boost, and everybody else is just about timing the skills, right? Fushan with the A1 instead of the A3, Mashald with the A3 instead of the A2, Turvold goes A2 and then A1. But basically after this first turn, we're able to click auto, and it's going to run fully through. Now, obviously, it's not affinity friendly. If we go against Spirit Affinity, we will be dead. But against Red Affinity, this team is spectacular, and we are able to deal with the stun. Demitha is actually going to cleanse the stun as it goes on to Fushan, because Fushan's going to go after Demitha, and Demitha's going to use her extension ability at the top of her turn every turn, right? Mashald's going to give us that increased speed buff. Demitha's going to extend it, and because of that, we're going to have increased speed on our champions for the entirety of the fight, allowing us to run a lot slower speeds. And then Arbiter, of course, is going to give us that increased attack boost, but also that turn meter boost towards the end of every turn, allowing both Arbiter and Demitha to take a third turn every cycle. And that's what makes this team work, with obviously Demitha blocking the damage at the end. Now, it is very interesting running this team and trying to optimize the damage for it. I had to do that A2 then A1 with Turvold so that his A3 is actually happening at the top of the turn when he has the most buffs on him. Every buff he has makes that A3 hit a lot harder. That's how we're able to get 450,000 on each of the hits from that skill, giving us a massive amount of damage at the top of every turn. Mashald, obviously, we're trying to optimize his damage and stuff, which I didn't fully do here, giving him a little bit too much crit rate in the build you're actually watching. But he's giving us an increased crit damage buff on all of our allies. That's a massive damage boost. The increased attack buff from Arbiter is clutch, much like a Seeker or even a Runekeeper will do for us. And then, of course, with Fushan, we delayed his A3 skill by one turn just to make sure we have decreased defense up at the right times. And, of course, we put him in the support tree to try to extend that debuff as well. And so, all in all, this team works really, really well together. I was incredibly impressed with not only the damage numbers we were able to put up, but also like the synergy of this type of team. And obviously, you know, bringing in Runekeeper does make this affinity friendly, and I should have a video out on that, I think probably tomorrow for you guys, so you're going to want to watch that one as well. But yeah, this team is very good. And you know, the biggest surprise to me in this whole endeavor, doing this draft, you know, exercise, was the fact that going against affinity will actually bump our damage as much as it did. And the difference really comes down to one of the masteries that gives us an extra 8% damage when the clan boss is at 40% HP or lower. And that difference was about, in this run, about a 15 million damage difference, which is massive. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as you're going through in building these teams. If you're ever trying to push run numbers, know that affinity is going to give you the pretty big boost just due to that mastery alone. So that's the run, that's the team. Hopefully this is enjoyable for you guys. Enjoy the music. We'll jump towards the end of this thing and let it go. So those are pretty massive numbers across the board. I mean, over 50 million from Turvold is always a wonderful thing. These guys, this team was really awesome and fun to play with. Now, obviously, against Red Affinity, when I recorded that run, I didn't have that extra 15% crit rate on Mashald, or off of Mashald, I should say, and so a little bit lower crit damage. So, you know, definitely, I think could have optimized it just a little bit further. I don't know that it would have been enough to make a difference in the fight. Honestly, like, we're talking maybe 1 million or 2, and Hell Hades had a heck of a squad, and it had a fair, there was enough of a gap there where I'm not confident that we would have beaten him. So there are definitely some interesting things on that. I didn't realize how important going against weak affinity would be to, going against weak affinity could be for your champions as far as upping the damage. That mastery alone was just singled out, was so very cool. Knocking them down to under 40%, getting extra 8% damage in your run. It's very impressive. And I was barely able to get that run in because I had force affinity that, you know, it's a crapshoot whether you're going to get it or not. And I got that run in just before it reset back to void. So, and I couldn't get force again, unfortunately. But I was really, really, really happy with that run, really happy with the result of everything, and this was just a fun experience overall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We definitely have more of these types of things planned for the future, so stay in touch with the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we do another one of these amazing events. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.
Bye.